Spooky door creaking? What is this? So let's see what questions we have only on Paranormal, True or False. It is free to subscribe. Please subscribe. It really helps the channel out. Thank you. The Marfa Lights of Texas. What are they? In the city of Marfa, Texas, there are these unusual lights that are a mystery to this day. They are not there all the time, or even there every night. Scientists and researchers have tried to figure out what's going on, and they have yet to figure it out. Most of the lights that the people actually catch are not Marfa lights. They're actually headlights from vehicles and taillights from vehicles. There are several cities in Texas that have some of the flattest land. In clear air and on flat land, it is very easy to see 20 miles away. And because light travels faster than sound, you'll be able to see headlights and taillights if you go to Marfa, Texas. And you can mistake those as the Marfa lights, but those are not the Marfa lights. The Marfa lights are actually surrounded by a radio tower and Highway 67 to the east and a ranch road towards the west. So it's best to go earlier in the day so you can identify the traffic on 67 and identify that ranch road, as well as the radio tower. Once you orient yourself to all those variables, and then look only for the areas where light should not be, that's when you'll find the Marfa lights. Some people think the Marfa lights are aliens. Others think it's geologic associated with minerals that are in the ground there. Some scientists believe it's plasma caused by seismic activity. Well, there's a bunch of cattle on that land. It could just be cows farting, because farts are combustible. And considering how low to the ground these lights are, it's very possible it's coming from a cow's hind end. The first known documented sighting was by a rancher in 1853. This is prior to any electricity being in Marfa, Texas. Problem is, scientists can't get close enough to the Marfa lights to do a really thorough investigation and research to find out what they are. So they remain a mystery. Is this an alien from outer space? This image is from a trail camera that typically hunters use. In the distance we can see what appears to be two headlights or two spaceship lights. It does cause the deer to stop and look up, but apparently the deers don't leave the area. So this did not cause the deer to run away. But what is causing those lights? This is one of the reasons why I don't like to analyze pictures. I don't know if this image is photoshopped in. It gives every appearance of just being headlights, except for the fact that it seems to be pretty high up in the trees. I don't think it's a camera glitch, but it could be faked. If you blink, you'll miss this one. As they're exploring this amusement park, it runs across these different statues that are in various stages of disrepair. Then it runs into this female statue, and her lid's lower. Is she possessed? One of the things I noticed when I slowed it down is that we're not seeing the lid actually close. It goes from seeing the eyes to not seeing the eyes. And when I freeze frame, you can see they blotted out the eyes. So this one's a simple editing trick I'll show you with using my own cat's eyes. See that? Just wipe it out. Do you see the rectangular patches over the eyes? Looks like they tried to blend the color through color matching. It's cool and creepy, but unfortunately, it's not real. Is this a ghost? On the other side of the road, we see a figure running. Is that a ghost? Or is this a person being chased by a ghost? This looks like another one of those camera glitches where the IR sensor and the light from the camera doesn't reach far enough to capture the full image. And because it's not capturing the full image, it's not capturing the full motion but blurring the motion. Or maybe some other type of camera glitch. Is this a shadow person? As this person sleeps, on the wall above the bed, it appears a shadow person is hovering over him. What is this thing? I've tried multiple settings to try and make that image stand out better, but it doesn't matter what setting I put it on, it's very hard to see what's on that wall above the bed. But it looks to me like just a shadow of a hand that's formed into a C. Thumb here, fingers here, palm here. Did I pass the ink blot test? So what do you see? Is it simply a shadow or a shadow person? Is this a UFO? In the night sky above this power plant, we see a squiggly cloudy light. What is this? Is it an alien invasion? Is it a UFO? Well, we have to take into consideration that power plants emit major toxins and clouds, as you can see in this picture here. Initially, I was thinking, well, maybe the smoke from this power plant is clashing with the atmosphere and creating that lightning burst. And maybe it was causing an intracloud flash, just like this picture. But then I realized it's moving behind that smoke. The image is not changing, however, the light flashes are changing. Is it possible that it is not moving, but maybe the source that's taking the image is moving and we have an optical illusion? Is it the night lights from a city or a town in the distance, and this is creating an optical illusion? I'm not sure on this one. What do you guys think? Is this a UFO or a bokeh? This next clip is taken with a night vision camera. And through the lens, they see this triangular shaped thing in the sky. What is this? We do see a brighter speck that's flashing. That's most likely a plane. That's not what we're looking for. But then towards the middle of our screen, we start seeing this faint triangular shape that just starts flying. What is this speck that is moving apparently faster than the plane? Is it a UFO? Is it one of these two types of stealth planes? Or is it a camera glitch caused by the shutter? Does the camera have a cheap shutter where it only has 3 shutters, like this type of shutter that causes a triangular effect? Is the shutter itself interfering with capturing the image of the plane and turning it into what is called a bokeh? And this is just a failure or the cheapness of the shutter that creates this image instead of a plain image. And I don't know if when the military is flying in stealth mode, if they have to have all their lights bright and highly visible or not. So it's possible we're just looking at a stealth plane in stealth mode that's being obscured and distorted by a camera bokeh. This is definitely a creepy, squeaky hinge. So as this investigator is exploring, this door keeps moving slightly, and as it moves, it makes a very distinctive squeaking sound. What is moving this door? Well, it definitely wins the creepiest door effect, and I can't tell if that door is going to an outside area or just out to an area that has a staircase that goes downstairs. So I'm not sure where this door is located to explain why it might be moving, because obviously if it was an outdoor or if there's windows nearby, the wind could blow it shut. Obviously, a string could be used to pull the door shut. A vacuum of another door being shut could cause this. But I really don't have an answer on this one. But the door noise is definitely creepy. Is this statue possessed? As we look into this glass case, we start to see the dark tall statue rotating. And this is a time-lapse camera that is capturing the statue just completely turn around. It appears it's completely in glass and should not be able to do that. It does not look like it's on one of those jewelry display rotators. And if it was something like the environment, such as an earthquake or just vibration from the street or vibration from the people, I would think all of the statues would move, not just the one. I can't really see that there's any type of device that's rigged to it that would cause it to turn automatically. A string could be used, but again, it's back behind glass, so I'm not convinced a string is being used. I don't know if the statue is possessed, but I do think this is real paranormal. Is this a possession? We see a woman come on screen, and it appears she's in a bathroom, and she's talking to the camera operator. She turns back to the bathroom sink, and then she takes a step back, and the door slams shut. When the door reopens, she's up in the ceiling, and no clue why. The clip ends with her in the bathtub, spaced out. I know this footage seems like it should be real, simply because of how little time it took for them to open the door, see her up in the ceiling, see her down in the bathtub. But because it's dark and because the camera is jumping around, it seems to me that that's an easy way to edit that, wait for her to get up to the ceiling. If she's a gymnast, which she probably is, very easy to get up there. And then for her to get back down and lay down in the tub. And the reason why I'm convinced this is just staged, simple. If this was your loved one and this was happening, would you continue to hold the camera and film it? Or would you drop the camera, grab a phone, try to call 911? You know, it makes no sense to keep running a camera unless you're trying to create paranormal activity and not capture paranormal activity. I like this clip because they're different. This is not something that we typically see, but it's really impressive for her to get up there on the wall like that and hold herself up there, because that's no easy task whatsoever what she's doing. So for creepiness, definitely give it thumbs up, but for real paranormal, not convinced that's what's going on with this clip. Is this restaurant haunted? We will start to see objects move on their own. Who or what are moving these objects, and why? So this is a pizzeria, and I just wondered, did the owner die? And that's who's haunting this place? So now we have a delivery driver that's talking to somebody behind the counter, and we can't see that person behind the counter. And that box just went flying across the room. What caused that to move so quickly? We also have a pin on the countertop that is flung to the floor. What moved that? In both instances, the items are flying in a direction that would be off camera and in the direction of the camera, so somebody's most likely just off camera pulling a string. What is this thermal hit? When we get to the point of the camera actually moving around, we'll want to watch out for this Barney Rubble, Fred Flintstone cartoon character that apparently this thermal camera picked up. So it's always important to look at the gauge on the right hand side to get an idea of the temperature setting. So we see that if it's all blue, it's going to be really cold. If it's white, it's going to be hot. Did you see it? It's only there for a split second. So if it was a real human being, it would typically be multicolored, with the pelvic region being the hottest. There's not a lot of movement, even though it appears like there might be. I don't know if they comped this in during the editing process, but that thing goes from being there to the entire screen changing color. This is the picture of the little guy on there, and then the other picture on top is right after he disappeared. Look how the trees all the way over on the left side completely changed colors in just one frame. The ground went from a more orange color to a less orange color. The fact that it dropped a degree from one frame to the other, that's not what really triggers my suspicion, because the thermal constantly jumps up and down in temperature depending on what it's aimed at. It's that all the other elements in each of these frames changed in just one frame. And maybe that is proof of the paranormal, because it did cause the thermal to react that way. I don't know, but I'm a little bit suspicious on this one. Is this a ghost in this hotel? So the curtain on the left-hand side really starts moving, and then a shimmery ghost-like figure appears. The man starts tossing and turning like his arms are being grabbed, and then he wakes up holding his head, and the shimmery ghost is gone, only to reappear. So supposedly this is in a hotel room. The obvious question is, why is there a camera pointed at the bed in a hotel room? It seems to me the window is cracked open and it's a windy night, or there's a fan that's been placed on the other side of on the other side of the curtains. Is there someone standing on the other side of the curtain? And what caused the bright flash? The way the curtain moves in the beginning, it just kind of looks like somebody's just pushing it out. So I'm not convinced it's a fan or the window cracked open. It might just be a human being standing there. Either way, too much of this seems like it's staged. I don't know if you're aware of this, but that vertical line that's going through the entire video, that's actually an editing effect. So they've used a black and white editing effect to make this creepier. If we take the image we used earlier and add that effect, this is what you get. You'll get the vertical lines going down through it flashing in between the black and the white. So yeah, that's basically just an editing effect. Different editing software will have slightly different of this old type of black and white video, but it's still an editing effect. And you can see how much it will alter an image. So I think it's staged. What is this nighttime creeper? In the lower right side of the screen, we start seeing this blurry image walking through this business. Yep, it's a bug. You can see with the way it's walking, much like how we walk, where one side moves, then the other side moves, then the other side, and it keeps going. They just have more legs than we do, but there's still a rhythm to that motion of just simply walking, or in their case, I guess it's still walking and not crawling. But at any rate, yep, just a bug. Is this a shadow person? So in this dark space, we suddenly see a shadow cross in front of the camera. What is that? Is that a shadow person? Is it a real person? It's definitely creepy, but I'm going to consult with you guys on this one, so I want you to help me out on it. I don't know what this object is that's closest to the camera right there, but I see the shadow crossing that before I see it, the upper body. So I'm thinking it's a shadow of somebody behind the camera, but in front of a light source that's being cast, and it's an elongated shadow. Do you guys see that too, or am I just misunderstanding what a shadow person should be? I was thinking this thing was closer to the back wall, but now I'm thinking it's on the floor here closest to the camera, and it might be free floating. Oh, I'm not sure on this one. It's like I want it to be real. I think it might be real, but then I think maybe it's just a shadow. Please leave me a comment and let me know what you see. Is this an alien? We will see this alien-like figure hiding in this tall grass. Is it an alien? Is it a balloon on a string? Is it a statue or a figurine on a pole? Is someone hiding behind that bush or tree and just pulled it off camera? Is it a costume or disguise and that's a small person? Is it animatronics? Well, it's not composited in because we can see that it will move behind these bushes, and it's not a picture going behind that bush. I don't think it's CG or video effects. So there's definitely something there. And I'm not convinced it's on a string because it would not have stayed level. It would have bounced up or down. However, it might be some type of a figurine on a pole, and it's mimicked they can move the pole in such a way that they're mimicking walking away. So let's think for a second if this was a real alien. Would an alien ship land in the middle of nowhere? Or would they land in an area where there's more activity, such as a large city? Well, what about us? Would we, if we were the aliens visiting another planet, are we going to go where the largest population is or where there's minimal population? And would we assume that all this shrubbery is just a plant? Or would we question if that plant is a species that can attack? Because we do have plants on Earth that do attack, whether it's via a spiky thorn or a spiky ball, burr, whatever you want to call them, or, plants that eat flies. I did not believe in aliens until we Earthlings landed those rovers on Mars. When I realized how this jacked up planet that we're on, where we can't play nicely with each other, can actually land on another planet, I realized other species might be far more advanced than us and be able to already have been here. Do I think this is an alien? No, I do think it's staged. Just because the distance away from this thing, from that porch, to zoom in and see something that's almost camouflaged with the night and with the weeds, and you being able to zoom in immediately and find it, yeah, you knew it was there. And you knew it was there because you placed it there. Another shadow person? On the left side, we will suddenly see a dark shadow move towards the staircase. And then we will switch to a different camera as it goes down the stairs. It manifests at the bottom landing, and then will slowly move down the stairway. So could this be recreated using editing tricks? So if I took his background of the staircase, created a blob, and just used a diagonal animation, fade in and fade out, it is possible to do something through editing to create that. Is that what he did? Well, let's look at this clip again. I freeze frame where that image disappears. Does he get it lined back up again? No, it's actually smaller and a little bit to the right. It looks like it wasn't lined up to go down the stairs correctly, and also it has to get smaller when it goes down the stairs and away from the camera. Watch again to see if you'll see it right here. Did you see the cut that time? So there's one more clip with this dark shadow going down this hallway. And again, it's really creepy. But you saw that cut again, didn't you? He had to cut it and angle it so it'd go into the wall or doorway. And when you use a preset animation, that's exactly how you have to do it. This time he made it smaller again, but moved it over to the left. He has to cut the footage because when you use a preset animation, you have no choice but to stop it and restart it to change the direction. Because that's exactly what I just had to do to get my little blob to come down the stairs and then fade out. This guy makes some really creepy videos. Regardless of whether it's real or not, I recommend going and checking out his channel because he really puts in the effort. There were several clips in this video that really creeped me out. It doesn't have to be real to be freaky and scary. I don't know if he speaks English or not, but just the sound effects and the visuals are creepy and scary, regardless of if you can understand what he's saying or not. Is this a cryptid? Suddenly, a creepy figure appears in front of the camera. What is that? It's a bug on the lens. Oh, there's a different camera or a different angle, and it's still a bug on a lens. Call an exterminator, not the Ghostbusters. Is this a ghost rattling this chain? As this lady is doing her exercises, the chain on her left side starts moving, rotating, and lifting. Is a ghost doing that? I don't know if the camera operator is in on this or if the lady is in on this, but he kept her center frame, so I'm not convinced he's involved. He also told her to get down, but it does look like it's just being pulled up by a string, so I'm not convinced that it's not a prank or staged. I just don't know if the two people that are involved in the clip are involved in this prank or not. And even though we can't see a string can easily be blotched out through color matching. A shadowy figure? As this young lady is dancing in front of the camera, we see behind her a pile of what may be clothes and something else. It ducks down out of sight from the camera. Could it just be a jacket that fell? Could it be any other article of fabric that just simply slid off? Maybe due to there's a fan over there or there's a vibration on that table. The way that it slides down, it does kind of give it a human action. So it could be just a human being in a costume or disguise. Oh, and completely irrelevant, but my elementary school, the mascot was also Buckeyes, and the color scheme was also red and white. So I just have to wonder if this was taken in my hometown. Now back to the regular scheduled program. I'm not sure if this is from a TikTok video or not, but there's so many of them on TikTok where somebody's dancing in the foreground and yet in the background is some mystical creature. So I'm not convinced this one is real. I think that might be staged. However, I don't know if the girl that's doing the dancing is in on the staging or if an older sibling decided to just pull this prank and hide behind her and do this. Just to scare her, maybe. What do you think on this one? Do you think it's staged? Or do you think they really did capture a shadowy figure that's not transparent? Is this ghost trying to escape? The flashing lights are from emergency vehicles, but the door handle keeps swinging back and forth, right to left and back and forth. But is that even a handle? Could it be a key on a keychain and the keychain is just swinging because maybe it's windy? Because it looks to me like the door handle is above that swinging object. So even though it doesn't look like it's windy, we don't have anything around us to show if the wind is blowing. So we don't even know why emergency vehicles are at this place or if they're at a different house. It does not look like there's anybody in this house. It is weird though that we have emergency lights flashing on and off behind the camera apparently, and yet the reflection in the window doesn't show any type of emergency vehicles whatsoever. We will get a weird light that will flash towards the bottom of the screen that looks like it's a reflection in this window, but don't know why there's emergency vehicles there if they're even there, because that flashing light could actually be a editing effect. So my guess is there's a key in the key lock, and the keychain is most likely paper or very lightweight. It's windy, and possibly you have some editing effect creating the red lights. This is an example of a video overlay that would imply traffic or emergency vehicles. Is this caused by a poltergeist? Suddenly items start falling off a shelf. What is causing these items to fall? Is it a poltergeist? Is it gravity? Is it poor stocking of inventory? Was a string used? Is this a publicity prank? What doesn't really look like an earthquake or a tornado or any other type of natural phenomenon that would cause those items to fall. So it's either poor stocking of the inventory, a prank, or real. What are your thoughts on this one? What are these flying lights? This motion sensor not only captures the cat in the left lower corner, but it's also catching these white misty streaks going in front of it. The owners believe that these white streaks are paranormal. Now, I don't know if the motion is activated by maybe one of the cat's whiskers getting in front of the sensor before we see the cat's head. I do know that bugs the size of moths and wasps and bees have the ability to set off motion sensors, because that happens quite a bit with my security cameras. So could these white streaks be caused by bugs that are distorted by the camera because they're flying too fast and too close to the lens? That does happen on my cameras, but I don't know if that's happening with this camera. Could it be dust? Obviously, if this camera is sitting in front of a vent or near a vent, that could very easily be blowing dust in front of the camera, but it seems to be too sporadic for it to be dust being blown by a vent, because that would typically go in the same direction. However, what would cause dust to fly in an erratic direction is the swish of a cat's tail. Maybe it's a combination of dust and bugs all being disturbed by the cat and its swishing tail. The owners feel like their house is haunted, and they always feel like something is in this basement area. And it may be haunted, but I don't think we've caught any paranormal activity. Please let me know in the comments if my analysis nailed it or failed it. The links for other social media platforms for this channel and for Jim is in the description below. Always be safe. It is free to subscribe. Please subscribe. There are many more videos you can watch, and you can click on the attached playlist card to see some of them. Thanks for watching Paranormal, True or False.